Welcome to our first episode of Turn Tech into Real Life Reality. In today's session, we have our special guest, Philip Griffith, who is the certified photo manager. I met Philip in a networking group called AVAI, and I had a privilege to know him more in a one on one. Then, in that session, I understood there is a wealth of knowledge he will be able to impart to all of us, and we really need to have a LinkedIn live session. That's why we are here today. Welcome, Philip. Please introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Latha, for having me. And yeah, it was one of those things where we had a one on one. We started hearing what each other was doing. And I'm going, what in the world do I have in common with someone who does software development and playground things? And I realized we have a lot more in common because what I help people do is organize their physical and digital photos so that they can tell their story and then pass that on for generations. So it's a lot about digital asset management. It's a lot about how do you utilize the assets that you have to tell your story and to make sure that it gets passed on. And that's a lot of what you do in with your software, especially for playground.
Yes, absolutely. So, before we start the real questions and discuss what we need to, I just want to let you all know we already got some questions beforehand, and we are going to discuss about it towards the end of the session. And if you have anything more, please feel free to add that in the comment section and we'll be able to discuss. Also, if you want a checklist of everything we are discussing on how to organize, that's our goal, how to organize your pictures, how we can secure, how we can protect, and how we can centralize these topics we are going to cover. If you need a checklist, please feel free to just type checklist in the comment section so we can send this to you after the call. So, Philip, as a certified photo manager who has lived through the evolution of hard copies to tapes to flash storage and now cloud platforms, how do you expect the future of preserving digital memories to unfold?
Ah, so who knows what technology is going to do next? The one constant that I see is change. I mean, we have seen change from the time photography was invented. Uh, it was done on copper plates and then tin and then glass and then finally film. And first, it was people who were professionals, i.e., just photographers were doing it. And then it became something that the masses did with the invention and distribution of the Kodak Brownie camera. And now everyone takes pictures with this device now that we're digital. So we take more photos, but those digital photos are actually more in danger of disappearing than those printed photos from maybe the late 1800s and they've lasted 100 years with sort of benign neglect. If you don't take care of your digital photos, um, when you change phones, when your hard drive fails, they're gone. So, and the cloud basically is lots of hard drives off on some server farm. So we have to think about how are we preserving um, those photos and making sure that we have a plan to keep them moving forward and keep them backed up and fresh and make sure that they're really there. And that we're using them every day. Because if you're not actually using and looking at your photos, what good are they?
I agree. So we keep taking photos. Yes, we keep taking photos, and I always take photos. And I want the first one who should be learning from you how I should be organizing this. They have the capability to auto sync too now. Within no time, my iPhone is syncing to the iCloud.
Hmm.
So I'm not even watching how much of money I'm spending every month. It grows and grows. So bills keep rising, and the work what we are doing getting reduced because we are concentrating in what we have done and duplications and deleting and all those things, but we seldom try to focus on that. And what are the simple steps that people can take to organize better and pay less?
So actually, you hit on a couple of very good points. Um, First is that yes, because your phone, whether you're on an Apple or an Android, either iCloud or Google Photos will sort of automatically say, "Hey, why don't you back this up onto our platform?" Well, they both give you some free space, but then once you hit that limit, after that limit, you have to pay. And people are like, oh, I don't want to have to pay for storage. Well, think of it this way: when you were going out, buying film, taking those 12 to 24, maybe 36 pictures on that roll of film, then taking that roll of film back to the drugstore to be processed, and then you paid for prints, and sometimes we paid extra to get double prints. You were spending the equivalent of about 50 to 60 cents per image. If you have only 10,000 images on your phone, and most people have more, I have friends who have close to 100,000,
Okay.
that would be $5,000 that you would have spent. But if you were spending the $10, and usually it's like $9.99 for the most storage on either Apple or Google, you would have spent half of that in the last 20 years.
Hmm.
So, or 10 years. Uh, so, in some ways, paying for storage is not the issue. It's really the issue is what storage should you be paying for? Most people don't realize if they're paying for Amazon Prime, they're already paying for photo storage on Amazon. If you're using Microsoft 365, you are paying for OneDrive. So you're paying for a terabyte of storage. And so, would you want to pay an additional fee if you're already paying for something and have that storage available? I usually start people saying, what are you already paying for? And if you're already paying for storage that can be used for your photos, don't pay Apple or Google, because Apple is not a backup, it's a sync. The picture that's on your phone that syncs to your laptop or your tablet, if you take it off your laptop, it disappears from your phone as well. So that's a problem. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Hmm.
Uh, you want something that backs it up, and no matter what you do with it on your phone, uh, you still want that backup
Yes.
that stays. So that's one of the first things I talk to people about is what storage are you already paying for, and making sure that you're utilizing that as part of your backup system. And with OneDrive, you can go from your camera roll to OneDrive to your computer, and that way you have a copy in the cloud, on your computer, and on your phone. Because you really need, in the digital world, you need 3 copies. And it's interesting, the Library of Congress started looking at digital, not just images, but digital documents, and realizing it is so ephemeral that you need 5 copies. I usually tell people, if you are paying for a cloud service, the cloud service is doing some duplication. Because if they had some problem and couldn't get stuff back to you, they'd be out of business.
Yes.
The problem with cloud is, what happens when you don't have internet service?
Mm.
That's why you want to have all of your data locally as well. I'm sure when you're looking at data for business, you have all your information locally, but then you're backing that up as well. Same thing with your photos. You want to get everything into one place. Even though you're taking a lot of stuff with your phone, you want to get it off your phone and onto your computer, uh, and back it up. And whether that's going from your phone to a cloud to your computer, or from your phone directly to your computer, doesn't really matter. You just want copies of everything gathered into one place and then backed up from there. Um, so,
So you're suggesting right now I have my auto sync on, and I do
mhm.
have a 1 terabyte of OneDrive, and I am not backing up my pictures, which I think your suggestion is it is better to have whatever I paid already to have there my data or the digital imagery and take the auto sync off. That way I may be able to save more and use less cloud storage and still be safe, correct?
Yes, so you can use the OneDrive as your backup. The problem is, you don't want to have 2 different cloud backups, because then you start getting duplication. That's actually one of the other problems with digital images, is you end up with duplicates, triplicates, quadruplicates, because you're either backing up in multiple places, or from you're backing up one source in multiple places.
Hmm.
And then when you bring everything together, you've got these duplicates, and it looks like you have a whole lot. Um, but and
But
I just saw someone said, had a question. You use Google and Dropbox, but I need a lot of safe storage. I've almost used 2 terabytes and need better solution for photos and videos. So yeah, Jessica, um, Dropbox is more for sharing and transferring files. Google's okay, but you have to be paying for it. And yes, you will run up against those limits. And that's why I suggest making sure that you have everything on your computer. I mean, for my clients, I say, get everything on your computer on a central hub. Use Backblaze to back up your entire computer, not just your photos, but then pay for a specific photo storage that allows you to actually look at your photos, not just store them. So there's really 2 different things there. There is the being able to make sure that your photos are safe in storage, but there's also being able to look at them and share them privately, because that's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize. The privacy settings on Google. Apple's really good with their privacy. Google, not so much. Um, so you have to be thinking about, um, okay, Jessica, yeah, let me
Uh,
think about that.
let
Um, and
let us,
we'll go on and
yes.
talk more about it at the end.
We have few more things to cover, and we can come back to the questions after that. If that is okay, Jessica. So, in our software business, privacy protection is the core, especially when we are dealing with in our app for parks and playground safety inspection, streamlining the work orders and maintenance and asset management. When we go to a playground, if we have to take a picture of a child playing in an equipment or anywhere in the playground, we have to get the sign waiver from the parent. So, but we know that is very sensitive. Even if we have to take any picture of a child, go to public in our own product, or if you are using for any of our clients, that's the case. So, what's your thought on current trend of keeping this privacy protection of all the pictures? We know that everybody goes to Facebook, anybody goes anywhere, it's all everywhere now. I am here, I am there. So what is your thought on that? How can we keep this privacy protection in place when it comes to individuals? What
That's
role
actually,
should everyone has to take? Mhm.
yeah, that's really good. A good question as well, because I think one of the things that people forget is that this is a lovely device, but it is going to capture and embed information into the image of time, date, and actually, if you don't turn it off, it'll put in the longitude and latitude, so the place. And I love that people are taking pictures of their children at the beginning of school, but they're not thinking about putting, when they put that picture out on social media, they're placing it onto the internet, which means it's now gone from their control. They lose control over it. They lose privacy because it's out in the public and they can no longer control it. In the picture, they may have added what school the child is going to, who the teacher is, what grade, all sorts of information about the child. And I got into this because both my boys are adopted, and when we were making our dossier, one of the things that the adoption agency said is you don't want any identifying images in your pictures. So you can't take a picture of your house if it shows the number of the house. You don't take a picture of the street where it includes the street sign. It's amazing how we don't think about this when we're putting things out in public. That's another reason why I tend to say if you're going to do cloud storage, make sure that that cloud storage is private and you control who can see it. I mean, I love social media, but that's not necessarily the best way to share our personal, private photo collection with our friends and family. There are other ways, and that's where forever, permanent, smug muck. I actually have a sheet of things that I recommend, and privacy is one of the things that I look for in a company that is saying, here, we can host your photos, we can back them up, keep them secure, and we offer sharing. It's like, okay, is that private? Who controls who can see things? So, and yes, getting permission, especially for businesses, if you're taking a picture of someone and you're going to use it for marketing, you absolutely have to have permission from that person, or from the parents if it's a child. But even if it's just you and you're taking the picture of your family, think about how are you sharing that? And most people don't even think it's not just putting it on social media. If you text that picture to someone else, you've lost control because you have no control over what they're going to do with the picture.
So there is a question from Esther about backing up on flash drive.
So flash drives are great, but I've given clients flash drives, and 3 years later, they've come to me and said, I can't find it. Do you still have the photos?
True.
It's flash drives were great. They are great devices to move files from one device to another device. But as far as long-term storage, they've gotten much better in terms of how much they can hold. But if you're talking about your entire collection, you would be better off doing an external hard drive that is at least 1 terabyte, if not 2 terabytes.
Yes.
Um,
So with AI tools in today's world for metadata extraction, facial recognition, visual similarity, and object and scene detection, everything is at our fingertips now. So with Sora too for video, which we use a lot, Philip, me and you, almost every day, and Nana Banana for beautiful images, that too. How do you think we can best preserve the originality of photos?
ooh, so you've hit on a couple different things. Um, First, I'll talk about AI that I use in helping people organize their photos. I've used AI for years in helping deduplicate a mess and find those duplicate, both exact duplicates and near duplicates. AI has been great for that. It's also been helpful to in facial recognition. Um, Facial recognition is a proprietary software. There's no specific field that every AI facial recognition software uses, so that when you embed it into the image, and that's one of the problems with, say, Google. Yes, Google will start to identify things, but as soon as you take that picture out of Google, all that metadata is gone. All that information is gone. Um, so stopping and saying, how can I actually embed the metadata into the image that AI is helping me with? That's one issue. The other that you started touching on is the fact that now AI allows us to edit our images or even create new images that we're not actually taking the picture of. It's creating them using some base material, of, say, an actual photo of you, but it's creating something that you may never have done. And the problem with that is that your mind really doesn't can't tell the difference, because if you've seen something, have you seen it in real life or have you seen an image of it? I remember my great grandparents, not because I was old enough to have real memories of them interacting with them as a young child. I remember them because I've seen the movies of me with them as a baby year after year, and looked at the pictures of me with them and heard the stories from my parents. So I bring up an image in my mind, but it's the image of the pictures and the movies that I saw.
Wow.
So, and we have to look at history. Photos have never been acceptable in a court of law because you can change them. Even the old film, you could alter. In fact, Joseph Stalin was famous for rewriting history by taking someone out of a photo when they fell out of favor with him. And So, what are we doing when we take a picture at the beach? It's crowded and we delete all the other people. Well, when your great grandchildren look at that photo, will they know that it was a hot, sunny day and there were lots of people on the beach? But what they are looking at is just you on the beach. And will they think, well, no, hardly anyone went to the beach because it's just my great grandmother or my great grandfather?
Mm, yes.
So that's something that we do have to think about, and I think we need to talk about. But what I love about Sora too is that they're actually putting in the code right there in the image something stating this is created by AI. This is not actual footage of something real. It's it's created by AI, and that can happen with photos as well. But you have to have the software to be able to read that to say, hey, yeah. And then the question is, will social media platforms and other places sort of look for that kind of thing and make sure that people know? I mean, my wife was saying, oh, look at this short clip of this man waking up next with a bear licking his head. Well, I saw, because I had been exposed to Sora, I saw, oh, there's that little dot. And
Yes.
I'm going, that's not real. That's AI generated. It looks real. So, yeah, I think that's a discussion that we really want to have. Um, and I used Sora and I said, hey, I had this experience. I have no photos of it, I have no video of it, but let me put it into Sora and create something that tells that story so that I at least have something. And I love it because I put it up on social media. And a friend of mine actually commented, and she said, I remember hearing about that just after it happened. So I think there is a place for artificial intelligence in recreating things that um, happened in our life, but we don't have any actual footage or images of. But at the same time, I think we need to think seriously about how are we doctoring, cleaning up, uh, changing photos and videos that were taken in real life, but we want to change them in some way. How is that going to change people's perceptions and memories years down the road?
Very true. I feel it's very important. So, I would like to talk about a question we got before this session, that is, how to digitally streamline workflows. And I would like to share my thoughts on that. We have to first map out our current workflow. It could be a manual process, there may be dependencies, there may be blockage. Whatever it is you're doing right now, you need to actually map it out. Then, next step is actually we have to choose the right tools. If you are going not just with the digital imagery, if it is for a bigger project with data, a lot of data involved, I suggest you use a project management tool, Asana, Trello. There are so many of them available in the market. All of them are good. I have used many of them. And if it is AI, if it's just the digital imagery, maybe Philip, you can add to that too. We can use the AI tools for organizing, like Google Photos and what is that, Miley? You have
Milio.
Milio, yes. So these type of tools will be able to help organize if it is a digital photo. And next will be you need to automate it. For example, simple automation is if you want to back it up every day, you can choose that option. And that way we will be able to back it up and we'll be able to tag it. We'll be able to eliminate the duplication. So AI tools can help in all that. The third step is actually standardizing the process. In my company, what we do is actually we do create checklists and templates, and we will be having version controls. So that way we know who did what when. That is standard procedure. If somebody is uploading something and something else came on the top of it, we'll know who did what and when, and that's going to help us to track and standardize the processes. And especially using document templates really helps. In anywhere, even in our world, Philip, we do templates every day, even for messaging, even for connection requests, right? So
Yep.
that applies everywhere. And the third is to train your team. If you have a team of people, you train them by first having a small onboarding session. And what we do is we create playbooks. Playbooks is really helpful because with the playbooks, you can create the original video, then you can create the cadence, you can create the checklist, make sure if a daily task, it's all taken care. So, like that is one employee leaves and another employee joins. You have the set process. The training will be very easy. We recently had one employee leave and another person join, especially in digital marketing. This is a very critical component. Training somebody in everything without proper procedures, very tough. Because we have all this in place, it was not that hard for us. The next is actually review and refine. For example, if you have everything in process, everything is right, last five steps we already has taken care, but still we need to review it quarterly to make sure the processes are working fine, and if there is any redundancy to remove, if you want to adapt any other tools, we have to. So all these things actually comes under streamlining the workflow. So that's the answer I wanted to give. And we have a couple of other questions too. We can take a minute to answer them. I'm looking at the questions here. Um, this person has got pictures all over and not able to organize things properly. And that I think you may be able to answer. I think we already would have covered it, but it will be helpful if you can explain a little bit more so that they know what they should be doing in managing across multiple platforms.
Yeah, that's actually, well, I mean, you probably have this in your business as
Yes.
well. You've got people with multiple computers, and are they networked? Are they not? The problem is you've got how many people in a family, and they've all got phones, and if they're not backing up to the same place. That's one of the biggest problems, is because yes, you have photos on your phone, you have photos on your computer, you have photos on your tablet, you have photos in the cloud, you have photos on social media, you have photos in your email, you have photos in your text. It's gathering everything all together in one place and making sure that every time you get an email that with a picture that you want to keep, you download it and put it in your photo hub. It's when you get a text and you have a photo, you save it to your camera roll, or better yet, you put it directly into your photo hub. Um, and you make sure that you've automated getting the photos from your phone into your hub. Uh, and there are different ways of doing that, but that's really the best thing. I mean, Milio is a program that actually helps with that, in that it looks at all the different devices that you have and you're using to take pictures with, and then it puts everything in one vault, which usually is an external hard drive on your main computer. Um, and it doesn't use the cloud; it uses Wi-Fi connectivity between all those devices to actually do that. Which means you have to make sure that you've got them all connected at some point to make sure that everything is being backed up and gathered. Uh, so there's pros and cons with a lot of different ways of doing it. It's just that yes, you need to get it done, and figuring out how that's going to work best for you. That's one of the services that I provide. I help people figure that part out,
Hmm.
but for everyone, it's gathering everything all into one place. And um, yeah, because then you don't have to worry about when you need to change phones, when you need to change computers. You know where your photos are, and you can just move that one vault forward, and you're all set.
So, as we are coming to a end of this session, what is a one takeaway that everybody who is listening to this session and can go and start or adopt immediately? And also, how can anybody reach you, your services? These are the other two
Sure.
things if you can share. Thank you.
So, one of the things that I would hope that everyone takes away is to enjoy your photos. Look at the last few photos that you took, say last month, in the last 30 days, and pick no more than five that are your favorite, the things that really make you smile, that bring up a memory or a story, and just favorite those. Because if you did that every month, at the end of a year, you would have a year's worth of favorites that you will want to get into your life, that you'll want to see on a more regular basis. And you'll be able to access them and say, yeah, these are my favorite. Let me make a book of this. Let me put this on a digital frame. Let me get these pictures back into my life. Um, and uh, love to help people. Um, you can come to my website, psgphotosolutions.com. You can find me here on LinkedIn, Phillip Griffith, uh, and you can um, email me, Philip with one L, Philip at psgphotosolutions.com. Love to connect with people here on LinkedIn and uh, other social media. Um, and schedule on my LinkedIn profile, you can schedule a 15-minute consult with me.
Thank you so much, Philip, for sharing this wealth of knowledge with us. And I hope everyone who is listening learned a lot too and, and have some takeaways.
Oh,
So go
I,
ahead.
I did forget. I will put into the chat. I have a free course that
Okay,
talks about
please do.
a lot of some of these things, but mainly digital things. So I'll put that in the chat to
Sure.
this once we're
Yes.
done.
Yeah, you can put it actually. So thank you all for listening and participating in our first LinkedIn live session. We hope you enjoyed it. Please stay tuned for the next session loaded with information and techniques you will be able to apply in your real life scenario. We'll keep you posted. Thank you.